Hello Star Citizens, Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to the Dual Joystick Setup series. In this video, I'll be going over how to import my bindings into Star Citizen and JoyToKey. As many of you know, Star Citizen is still in its early alpha stage, with new features being added in every major patch. These new features require new key bindings, so the bindings menu is in a constant state of flux. Unfortunately, these constant additions also lead to shortcomings and bugs in the bindings menu. One such shortcoming is the inability to set modifier buttons on joysticks. Now this is a serious problem, especially since Star Citizen has so many important functions that there's no joystick currently on the market that has enough buttons to bind them all. In order to get around this and other issues, I've started using a program called JoyToKey. JoyToKey is a great little program that allows you to map keyboard and mouse commands to your joystick. You see, Star Citizen does allow for keyboard buttons such as Control and Alt to modify both keyboard functions and joystick functions. So by using JoyToKey, I'm able to set one of the joystick buttons to emulate the left Alt key. This allows you to effectively double the number of joystick buttons you have available for binding those important functions. So if you're watching this video, you probably either use or want to use my custom Star Citizen bindings. So I'm going to show you step by step how to download and import my bindings both into Star Citizen and JoyToKey. Now, I'm going to assume you already have Star Citizen installed on your computer, so let's start off with downloading and installing the JoyToKey program. So first you'll have to go to the JoyToKey website, and that link can of course be found in the description of this video below. Once you get here, you'll go to Download, scroll down, and download the installer. Once you've downloaded, make sure to go ahead and unzip it and run it. Now, a quick note about JoyToKey. It is shareware. You can download and use it for free, but if you find it useful, I highly suggest going ahead and purchasing a license key. It's only $7 and it goes a long way towards keeping the program up to date. Okay, now that you've downloaded and installed JoyToKey, before you start JoyToKey, I want to make sure that you have your joysticks set up for Star Citizen. Now, if you're using my bindings, the only thing you want plugged in are your two joysticks. So if you have any game pads, rudders, or MFDs currently plugged in, go ahead and disconnect them for now. So again, all you want installed, well, of course, your keyboard and your mouse and your two joysticks. Now, once you've done that, go ahead and start JoyToKey, and it'll bring up this default profile 1, which is just a blank profile. So this is the main menu for JoyToKey. You see I have two joysticks installed, Joystick 1 and Joysticks 2. You may have others if you've left anything else connected. So again, make sure you disconnect those before starting the program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out which joystick is which. So I'm going to take my right joystick and I'm going to pull the trigger. And you see that the joystick tab 2 is lighting up. So I'm going to click on that tab and you'll see as I pull the trigger, well, this joystick has a dual stage trigger, so button 1 is the initial pull, button 2 is the secondary pull. So that's fine. Now the left joystick is going to be joystick 1. So I pull the left joystick and you can see button 1 and 2 are lighting up. So we know that both joysticks are being detected. Now you can move the joysticks around and you can see the stick up, stick down, left, right. All that'll light up as well. Now, what we're going to have to do is you're going to be installing my files for JoyToKey. So from here, we're going to go ahead and go to my Dropbox and we're going to download both my Star Citizen configuration files and my JoyToKey configuration files. Okay, in the description of this video is a link to my Dropbox, and when you open that link, this is what you'll find. Now the current build of Star Citizen is Alpha 3.7.2. I don't typically update for the minor patches unless there's a major binding change. So Alpha 3.7 files are what you're going to want. Or if it's currently 3.8, you'll find 3.8, and these 3.7 files will be moved into the old files. So we're going to click on the Alpha 3.7 files, and you can see I have two menus, one for my dual T16000Ms and one for the Virpil Constellation Deltas. I also have a general README file with a lot of the instructions that I'm already going over in this video. So if you get lost or you have some issues, some of the common troubleshooting tips will be found in this README file, so make sure to check that. Now I'm currently setting up for Virpil Deltas, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that folder. And what you have in this folder are various files that I have exported for you. Now I have the JoyToKey configuration. This is the Buzz Delta JoyToKey. I also have a mirrored version of that profile. So if your joystick 1 is my joystick 2, you can use the mirrored version. So, okay, I also have some additional notes here. This is like an additional README that has some Constellation Delta specific bugs. There's the same thing in the T16 menu. And you also have the dual delta binding chart. Now this is just all of the button bindings on the joysticks in image format, so you can quickly look up and see what button does what. To the far right are the configuration files for Star Citizen. So this is the exported binding files for Star Citizen. You can see layout Buzz Delta 3.7 exported. And those will go into your Star Citizen folder, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So let's start off by go ahead and downloading these three files, the two JoyToKey configuration files and the XML for Star Citizen. So I'm going to click on this. The config files can't be previewed, but you go up here to the download, and you're going to select direct download and save. Let's go ahead and go back and get the second one. Download, direct download, and save. And finally, let's get the layout for the Star Citizen files. Now this one does have a preview. You can see it's a big XML file. Again, download, direct download, and save. Now this should go to your download folder by default, so I'm going to open that up. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so this is the downloads folder. You can see I've got those three files. Now, maybe you also want to download that image just so you have a reference, but for now, let's talk about these files. So, remember, I had the JoyToKey and the JoyToKey mirrored files. Now, those are the two configuration files for JoyToKey, so we're going to have to import those into our copy of JoyToKey. So, go into JoyToKey, click on File, and open Config Data folder in Explorer. Now this has moved in this recent version to your Documents folder, so this is actually in your My Documents folder under JoyToKey. But luckily the program has the little button to send you here, so it's easy to find. Now we're going to take those two JoyToKey configuration files and we're going to move them into this folder. And we can go ahead and close that window. Now you're going to have to restart JoyToKey for this to take effect. So I'm going to go ahead and go File and Exit and restart JoyToKey. And now you can see that these two configurations are in here. So now I've got to figure out which of these two configurations I need to use. And basically that is decided by which joystick is joystick 1 and which joystick is joystick 2. So the left joystick is where we have the modifier. If you look at the image, it shows that it's the button 3 on the left joystick, which is the little button below the trigger on the Constellation Deltas. And on the T16000Ms, it's the left trigger. So on the T16s, button 1, which is this one, would be left alt. But this is the Delta version, so button 3 is left alt, and that is our modifier. So you can see we're on Buzz Delta JoyToKey mirrored, and left alt is that button. So that is the correct one for us. On joystick 2, you can see I have a few other functions on the deltas. So the right thumbstick is set up to emulate the mouse movement. Button 1 and button 2 are set up to emulate the mouse left and right click, and button 4 and button 5 are set up to emulate the mouse wheel, and that's the little scroll button on the deltas. So basically you have your full mouse on the right joystick. Okay, so now that we've got that set, I would go ahead and keep these two, and you can just go ahead and delete this profile if you want. Just get rid of it and just keep it on that mirrored file or the regular one if that is the correct one for you. Now that we have JoyToKey set up, let's go ahead and start working on the Star Citizen bindings. So we still have those bindings, the file, in your download folder, and we're going to have to find out where to put that. Now the easiest way, if you have your Star Citizen installed into the standard default folder, you can go to your RSI launcher shortcut, right click on that, and open file location. And that'll bring us into the launcher menu, or the launcher folder. Now that's not the main game folder, so what we're going to have to do is click the up arrow here, and you can see you have Star Citizen and the launcher. We're going to want to go into Star Citizen, and most likely you're going to be going into live. If you've downloaded the PTU, you have PTU here. If you haven't downloaded PTU, then you will not have this folder. Now, I've actually moved mine into a different folder, so for me this is empty. So let me go ahead and really quick cut to my location. Okay, so this is where I have mine installed. It's on my SSD. So we're going to click on Live, User, Controls, and Mappings. Now this is the folder where you're going to place the layout file. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste. So now I have this file in my Star Citizen directory. Now you may want to keep a backup of this somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of it and maybe put it on my desktop here. And then you can put that wherever. So you may want to keep a copy of that because a lot of times you'll be deleting your user folder for certain bugs you may encounter or anytime you install a new patch. And of course, doing that will delete these mappings. Or you can always go to my site or to my Dropbox and download them again, or you can just keep a copy on your computer somewhere. Now that that's done, we'll go ahead and close these two windows and start Star Citizen. Okay, so here we are in the main menu of Star Citizen. Now what we're going to do is go into the Options menu and go up top to Key Bindings and then click Advanced Controls Customization. Now this brings us into the main binding menu. So what we're going to want to do first is we're going to want to clear the bindings, the current joystick bindings, because sometimes there's a little bug when you're importing joystick bindings that old bindings will sometimes get transferred to the new ones. So we're going to click on these control profiles and go up to Clear All Device Bindings. Now when we're doing this, all we want to clear are the joystick. So joystick for joystick, joystick for joystick, joystick for joystick. Now you'll see there's a little drop down. It may say joystick 1. Don't worry about that. Just select joystick. And again, don't worry about the keyboard, mouse, or gamepad. And then click Load. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and just really quick check the joystick menu to make sure that the bindings are gone. So we're on keyboard and mouse right now. We're going to click over to gamepad and then over again to joystick HOTAS. And then just open up one of these and you'll see these are the functions. There are no buttons set. So that's fine. Everything looks good here. Everything's gone. Now we're going to import the bindings, my bindings. So click again on Control Profiles and find Buzz Delta 37, or if you're using the T16s, it would be Buzz T16 37 or 38, depending on whatever build of Star Citizen we're in. Click on that, and now we're going to go ahead and import the whole thing. So keyboard for keyboard, mouse for mouse, joystick for joystick, and joystick for joystick. Again, you have that joystick 1 option. don't click it, don't worry about it, just select joystick and click load. Now we're already in the joystick HOTAS menu, so we can go ahead and open up, and you can see now that there are buttons assigned to the different functions. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and test our bindings. And the best way to do that is in Arena Commander. Okay, so to get to Arena Commander, obviously from the main menu, you click on Arena Commander. And it brings up its loading screen. And we're going to go to Single Player. And we want to switch it off of Vandal Swarm and put it on Free Flight. That way we're not getting attacked by any NPCs. And I'm going to go ahead and switch the map from Broken Moon to Dying Star, because Dying Star is a lot quieter and it's easier to record. Don't need to worry about selecting which ship. I'm going to just take whatever ship it gives me and click Launch. And here we are in Free Flight. So I'm going to go ahead and predict that we're going to have some issues here, because remember, I had to use the mirrored version of JoyToKey on JoyToKey because my joysticks were backwards. So normally the right stick is going to be my pitch, roll, and yaw. So I'm going to go ahead and push forward on the right stick. And looky there. Yep, we are strafing forward. I pull back, we're strafing backwards. This is not correct. Now, my left stick is normally what does that. So I'm going to press forward on my left stick, and nothing is happening. So there's a little issue sometimes with the pitch, roll, and yaw not getting bound. Well, roll is bound, but pitch and yaw are not currently bound. So that's a normal bug, and we'll go ahead and fix that as well. So the first thing we need to do here is swap the joysticks. So there is a command. When you press the tilde key on your keyboard, that's the button, should be the button to the left of your 1 key to bring up this menu. And we're going to type in a little command here to swap the joysticks. And the easy way to figure this out is to just type PP and then hit tab. Now the one we want is resort devices. So I'm going to hit tab again, and that's going to bring up PP_resort devices. You can type that in, that's fine, but this is the easy way to do it. Now what we're going to do is resort our joysticks. So type in joystick 1 and 2. So PP_resource devices space joystick space 1 space 2 and hit enter. Now you can see that it moves 66 actions from joystick 0 to joystick 1, and 104 actions moved from joystick 1 to joystick 0. That means we've effectively swapped our joystick. Okay, let's go ahead and close that by pressing the tilde key, and obviously the right joystick is still not doing anything, but it is rolling, so that's good. And I pull the trigger, and yes, it is firing. JoyToKey is running, so I should be able to have my modifier as well, but let's go ahead and push on the left joystick. Okay, forward is forward, back is back, left is left, right is right, and up and down works as well. So we seem to be good there. The only problem we're having right now is the right joystick is not pitching and yawing. So we need to go hit escape, go to options, go back to key bindings, advanced, click over from keyboard mouse to joystick HOTAS, and we're looking for flight movement. Okay, so you can see here that pitch does not have anything bound, yaw does not have anything bound, roll does. So we're gonna have to go ahead and bind pitch. So pitch, we're going to double click that, and of course I'm just going to pull back on the joystick, and that's going to set it to the y-axis. Now it says it's already set to pitch up and down, but that's probably on the vehicles. So go ahead and click yes. Now pitch is set to the y-axis. And yaw is the left and right, or the x-axis. So we'll do the same thing there. And click yes. So now we have pitch and yaw and roll set on the Y, X, and Z axis. Input 2 just means that that is joystick 2. So remember, right now my right joystick is joystick 2 and my left is joystick 1. This is like joystick 1, button 2 without any input behind it. That means that's joystick 1. Okay, let's go back into the game and just check that out. Yes, pitching forward is forward, back's back, left is left, right is right. Okay, that all seems good. Now, what happens if something is backwards? Like, what happens if you push forward and your ship flies backwards? Or if you push forward on your right stick and you pitch up? There are ways to fix that. So let's go ahead and go back to the escape menu and options. And now what we're going to do is go into controls. Now, it defaults to mouse. Oh, and by the way, if you like your mouse view inverted, this is where you do that. So you can go on foot pitch and select that to yes. Now, I do like it inverted, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So flight movement, yes. Flight view, yes. Turret aim, yes. Let's see, where's vehicles? That's the only other one I think I really need to change. There we go. Okay, so now my mouse is inverted. That's the way I like it. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Now we're going to go into the Joystick HOTAS 1 and Joystick HOTAS 2. Now remember, the one we're using for the right joystick is 2. The one we're using for the left joystick is 1. It might be backwards for you. You might want to change the setting in both. So let's say that the strafe forward and back is backwards. So let's find strafe forward and back. Flight strafe forward and back. It's already inverted because it imported that from my bindings, so that's the correct way to do it. But if it was no, and then I go back to the game, you can see if I pull back, the ship goes forward. So that's what you would see. That's how you fix that. So we're going to go ahead and change that back to where it was. Joystick HOTAS 1, strafe forward back, yes, back, and we're flying normally. Now you may want to go ahead and check some other buttons. Go ahead and make sure JoyToKey is running because that will affect your modifier, and on the deltas it will affect your weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. My weapons are firing, so the single stage, dual stage. I also have a secondary button just for the secondary weapons. So that's working. And you may want to check a modified function. So one of the modified functions is Gimbal Lock. So I'm going to hold the modifier and I'm going to cycle Gimbal Lock. Okay, it brought up, you might be able to see it, but it brought up the auto gimbal mode. So there's gimbaled. That's locked. Okay, so the modifier is working. Excellent. That means we should be good to go. And of course, if you find any functions that are not bound correctly, go back into that menu and double check them. And that should do it. And that about wraps up this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope it helped you. Remember, if you're having issues, check that README file. Check the additional notes for your controllers. And yeah, if you're still having issues, feel free to leave me a comment. I read all my comments. I try to respond to those that I can. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, this has been BuzzKiller, and I'll see you in the verse.